Let's go ahead and get started.
Day two.
Day two, we're here.
All right.
Well, welcome back, everybody. This is day two of your first automated AI system. My name's Cody Stepp. I am Workflow Secrets co-founder, architect of SAM 1.0, and then co-architect of SAM 2.0 with my co-host Mark here.
For those that don't know me, my name is Mark Stepp. I have been in the real estate technology business for 30 plus years, 3 decades. Seems like a long time, but it also went by so quick. So we're going to be showing you some really cool things today, and I'm excited about this day. Yesterday, I felt was a little bit boring because it's the basics, but at the same time, it's extremely important. So not to leave that out, let's do a quick recap.
Yeah, let's go ahead and dive in. So recap of yesterday, and it was kind of boring. You kind of have to get the groundwork in. The ultimate goal with this is to build up to something really big. So maybe you guys thought it was boring. Maybe it's something that you already have in your business. But yesterday we dove into what are systems on a fundamental level. We identified that systems are sequences of tasks that you can identify in your business or really in life. And once you have them identified, you can start adding automations to them. When you add those automations, it can start to make your life much easier because you can remove these manual tasks off your plate. After that, we dived into what niches are in real estate and the value of not looking so wide as I like to serve people who are buying and selling homes in the entire globe. Well, let's focus in a little bit, as well as defining your writing style or your member voice. And then you talked about the core strategies framework.
The core part of it to me is so crucial for any real estate business. And I've taught this for years, but it just blows my mind that so many people still have that roller coaster challenge in their business where it's either feast or famine. You've got so much business at some times and so little business at other times. And if you use the core strategies inside your business, core is as an acronym for the CORE, conversions, operations, retention, and experience. And putting those together, evening them out so that whenever you run your business, you're not going through that feast or famine. And we kind of covered that yesterday. And it's just an increasingly important piece that people need to understand.
Yeah, and I think if you were to gather any one concept from the last half decade that I've been working with you, that core strategies framework is kind of the secret to success. I know you spend like an entire month with your private coaching people.
Yeah.
We wrote a book about it.
Wrote a book about it.
But ultimately, we took these concepts, your niche, your voice, the core strategies, and we helped you guys build what I call a lead magnet. And it's a resource that we add to our business to pull in people into our business. Now, the ultimate goal is you build this lead magnet, you put it on your website, and you start sending traffic to it, whether it's through blog posts or videos, whether it's through ads that are on social media, or just what we call organic or unpaid social media content. But then they trade their details for those resources. And so you start having your people who are looking to have questions answered about the specific area of real estate you're focused in on. An example we used was those first-time home buyers. And you take those questions that they have, and then you start building out these lead magnets, and then ultimately everything works out from there. So that's what we covered yesterday. Let's go ahead and let's look at what we're going to cover today. Well, today we're actually going to dive into the fun stuff, right? So you guys are going to learn a little bit about AI-powered systems. We talked about the basics of a system. Well, what's an AI-powered system? Well, inside of SAM, we call those routines. I named it that because everyone has routines in their business, whether they're your morning routine or your office routine. We're going to look at the power of automating things inside your business that you've identified as systems. We are going to show you guys how to build these routines, and ultimately you guys are going to walk away with your very first system built into a routine. So I'm really excited for that. But before we get too far, little note, if you have not yet upgraded to VIP, you can still do that. What that's going to give you access to is the Systems Accelerator Manager. I affectionately call it SAM 2.0. You'll get 14 days free. We don't ask for a credit card or anything like that. And if you're asking yourself, well, Cody, how do I go about getting this? Well, you can visit the event page that was on your registration email, or the link is right here, workflowsecrets.info/your first AI systems pre-event. And on step 2, it says get VIP for free. You click that, yes, I want to upgrade to VIP, and it'll take you to SAM. Or if you just wanted to use the special code, it's sam.workflowsecrets.info/? Code equals SAM VIP. And what that'll do is it will, inside the system, it'll denote that you're part of this event. It'll make sure that you get 14 days of free access, but then it's also going to make sure that I am able to send you guys some additional trainings. So some of the stuff that I built out for you guys are 3 additional trainings. There's a Golden Goose training, as I like to call it. And it's basically, how can we build a really great repeat and referral process? And then specifically, how can we turn that into a routine? And then I also did a birthday world-class client experience. What's the best experience you could deliver for your clients? And then my absolute favorite is a training that is the post-sale. It's how do we re-engage our customers after the sale in a way that drives value for them. It's not just a newsletter, and it's going to not only work to increase your repeat and referral, but if you do it right, it can actually drive additional commissions into your pocket. So that's pretty cool too. So that's all part of the VIP, and you guys can get that. VIP is completely free, and I did that because I want to make sure that you guys get access to SAM and some of these really cool trainings.
Yeah, it's important to have access to a tool that you're going to be using and seeing and stuff. So being able to get your hands on it, I think, is really, really important. Yesterday, I was talking about the importance of systems and why automated systems can help you scale your business in a way that you can't do otherwise. I did use the little example of Lucille Ball, and Cody was gracious enough to put that on here. But really what this comes down to is understanding that you don't have to have that 25th or 26th hour of your day. You don't have to, think about all the things that you've got to do. You can let your system do it for you. And it's a tool that, helps you do the things that you want to do, but doing them in an automated, in a method. So.
Yeah. And the other thing that you don't need to be successful, you don't need a tool that already builds automations. And that's the power of this 14 days through the VIP, is we're actually going to give you the tool. So even if your current system won't build those automations, well, we're going to give you access to SAM so that you can dive into that. And so without further ado, let's dive into just what is an AI system. Like I said, we call these routines, but they're basically, once we've identified those systems inside our life or our business, these are a set of automations that can be applied with repeatable tasks. And oftentimes they're designed to nurture leads, to manage follow-up, or create personalized communications. But the key here is that we're automating engaging content that's going to help follow up and nurture clients, and it's not going to require manual effort. So that's the ultimate goal, right? My ultimate goal is I want you to be great at real estate. I want you to be great at building relationships with people. And sometimes the technology gets in the way, and we end up having to spend a lot of time working inside our technology. Well, that is just not what I want for you. I want you to be great at real estate. I'll help make sure we have great technology for you guys. And so that's the core thesis of what we built into SAM. So
one thing about that,
Mhm.
you know, as we were developing this, the past 3 months has just been a whirlwind of changes and stuff for me, both inside and outside here. But what's important to realize is that this has just been the first 3 months
Mhm.
of development for SAM 2.0. There's a lot of feature rich functionality that was created, but there's so much more to come. And we had to build some of the basics first in order to even scale up and get the automated part inside of our own business. So even though you're seeing some of the things that you will be seeing some of the things that we've developed so far, just think about where this can go when we get to that point, and how it can really affect your business.
That's right. And ultimately, when I heard Mark was available, ultimately I approached him, and I'd been working on building 2.0, and it was taking a lot longer than I thought. I just don't have as extensive a background, and I pitched to you the opportunity to build your dream system. I call it your love letter to real estate. That's my marketing terminology for it. But ultimately, that's exactly what we're doing. We're taking modern technology, AI tools, and we're applying it to the real estate CRM, because most of the current systems out there are just, they're old, they're a little clunky, and we knew we have the technology and there's a better way. And that's what SAM can do for us. But ultimately, inside these routines, it does very similar to some of these functions. It works on triggers. Inside of SAM, the important date is what triggers. So now, instead of having to think about oftentimes hundreds of different tasks that make up processes, you just have to think about this specific important date. What is the best experience I could deliver to someone for that?
If that event or that process or that whatever it is happens on a particular date, what happens on that date from that point forward is the critical thing to think about. A routine is, if I think about, I get up in the morning, you know, wake up date is kind of the trigger. It's when I wake up. What are the things that I do? Well, I trigger, you know, I go brush my teeth, I take a shower, I get coffee, or, you know, whatever. And these are the different things. You can do the exact same thing in your own business for other things, including, you know, when did I get my contract? When was it signed? Or when you can create an unlimited number of kind of events, triggers, things that happen. And once those trigger, then it just does it from that point forward. And you don't have to create a huge elaborate workflow of everything. You're just focusing in on micro elements of the entire process.
And so ultimately, the outcome that we're aiming for is we send some sort of tailored email or text message. Maybe it's a reminder or just a touch point, and that's going to help our leads get nurtured. They get turned into happy customers, and then they get converted into past clients who are super excited to work with us, are willing to share about how great we were. But then that process is recorded and it's repeatable. So every single person that comes after it can get the exact same great experience. So we do this traditionally through that workflows process, just like you were talking about, these sometimes hundreds of steps.
I've seen the largest workflow I saw, which was a closing process. The user had 178 different steps.
That's crazy.
I mean, managing that was unreal, you know, to even attempt to do it. But that was what they did to give their world-class service, and it worked. It worked for them. But managing that was just
right. And so if you were to take the game plan from yesterday that you talked about, traditionally you spend 2 weeks and you audit your time in little 30-minute blocks, but then sometimes it can take upwards of 3 to 4 weeks to build out these workflows traditionally. And so you find yourself just overwhelmed, And then that's only one single task. You know, imagine if you had to build 180 steps for each individual task. So now you're spending a lot of time on building these things in oftentimes really complex systems, and they still require you to remember what tasks you need to do, to track the progress of each individual person, each individual day. And then most of the time it seemed like you had to send those messages manually. And I just personally fundamentally believe there is a better way to do that. And that's exactly what I built into SAM, is this better way of doing that. So how does SAM do this for us? Well, it works to simplify it. It drives down to these micro moments, these important dates, such as, is the lead created, is the contract date, the follow-up dates, and all of these trigger these personalized actions to occur. So instead of having to manually track each step, we just allow SAM to do it, and it is able to do it using some AI that is specifically aiding us in this. So this is the true power of AI. It's not going to take your job. It's going to help keep track of your tasks so that you can build great relationships. And now you're overseeing all of this.
Yeah. I mean, traditionally, you would think of it as, you know, a database doing this, which is right. But because of the way technology has changed these last couple of years, ChatGPT and Bard and I mean, Gemini, there's lots of different libraries out there that allow us to do similar types of things. It now becomes the creativity portion of our brain as well, because we can have it do things for us, have it recommend things that otherwise we were trying to do it programmatically, you know, in software, and it just didn't always work the way the user wanted it to.
That's right. So that is the concept, but let's go ahead and dive into the system itself, and let's kind of work through some of these systems. Mark, I'm going to give you the mouse. I am not a Mac person, as it turns out. Yeah. So if you have not yet logged into SAM, sam.workflowsecrets.info will get you into the system. Go and log in. You're going to get met with our dashboards. And what we're going to do is we're going to be working first to build our first message. So we're going to go on the left-hand side and click templates. Once we're in the template section, you probably won't have any templates yet, but all of those will be on the left-hand side. What we're going to do is we're going to go on the top right-hand, click that blue new template. Now from here, this is very similar to any other editor that you've ever worked inside. What we're going to do is we're going to give that template a title. For this, it's going to be new lead message. It's taking a second. Now, traditionally, or maybe you have some of these emails or messages inside your business already. And so you could add a subject, you could paste this, you could sit there and you could write it. It's a great editor. But here is one of my favorite pieces inside of SAM. So on this left-hand side, you have this little automations piece, and we're actually going to ask SAM to help us write this. Now, very similar to the content that we created yesterday for our lead magnet, Sam's going to ask us for an objective. Now, I've already written this out for you guys just to help expedite this process, but let's real quick just kind of look at what we're hoping to accomplish. So I want Sam to write a message I can send to a new lead that is for a first-time home buyer guide. Now, that's the guide that I used to build for my lead magnet yesterday. If you chose whatever your niche is, you can place that in there instead.
Luxury homes, veterans, you know, any kind of thing that you are niching in, you know, create the template based off of that. Yeah. And then I'm denoting that they asked access for it. Ask them where they are in the home buying process. So I'm just asking them a general question that's going to help me in my real estate understand, okay, how ready to work with me is this person? And then I'm going to offer them a little bit of help and some guidance
And then I'm going to, like I said yesterday, you should always have a call to action on all your messages, whether it's reply or sign up for something or do something. But this specific call to action is going to be for them to schedule a time to chat with me. So that's the basics of the objective. I want to get them that resource that they requested, that lead magnet that we built yesterday. And then I want to also offer a little bit of aid and have them schedule a call with me. So now Sam wrote this for me in what, like a 3.5 seconds? Yeah. And it's ready to go. It's got merge fields that'll pull in their contact name, thanks for requesting it. And then it's got some different pieces and then that schedule call. Now, all we would need to do is fill in, say, a Calendly direct link or whatever we're using to schedule that call. Maybe you also use Google to do that. Now, another really cool thing that we can do, I like to call these messages because technically it's not an email. Technically, it's also not a text message. Inside SAM, it's just a message until we determine what type of message it's going to be. And we'll talk about that a little bit later tomorrow. But you'll notice we're on the email side. If I click over to this SMS, what SAM is going to do is it's going to say, well, you don't have an SMS yet, but would you like me to create one? And so we click yes, and now Sam is going to take that message that we had written or that he had written for us. And you definitely want to spend a second, edit these. And then it's going to create an SMS format. Now, SMSs, they have to be 160 characters. And you oftentimes, I don't know about you guys, but I will get these text messages that read like their emails. They look like their emails, and you can tell that it's not the proper formatting. It's like if you were to go into McDonald's and ask for a Wagyu beef steak, it's the wrong place, right? And it just feels out of place. And so this is how you're able to make sure it's the proper format. So that's how we're building a message in here. We've got both the email and the text message format of that. Now, all we need to do is hit save. So once we've hit save, now we have a message. This is going to be our first step. But now that we've got this message ready inside the templates, we can actually move to the routines section. So routines is right under the templates, and we're going to start building our routine. Now, very similar to the templates section, all of my routines that I have built are on this left-hand side. You might not have one yet, but we're going to work on that. So let's go ahead and start by going to the top right-hand side and clicking the new routine button. Now, I pre-typed all of this out just to save a little bit of time in doing this. But if you'll go to this new lead routine, you guys are going to work from this new routine. But the very first thing we need to do is give the routine a title. So I named it the new lead routine. Just keep it nice and simple. And then right under that, on the right-hand side, it has the words entry date. Now, the entry date is that important date. So what this means is as a lead comes into your system, it gets added with an entry date. Well, when that entry date gets filled out, boom, this routine is going to be triggered, and the things that are associated with it are going to be started, right? So now all we had to do was add the contact. The entry date was filled in, and automatically it happened for us. So now that we've got those, you guys are going to hit this little plus button on the right-hand side of the routine setup, and that's going to build our first activity. But again, I pre-wrote these just to help us out. And so the first activity that we're going to build is the new lead welcome. Inside the activity, we're going to give it a title, new lead welcome. It's going to be 0 days. And if you were to click on that days, you can select minutes, hours, weeks, months, years, before or after. For this one, you could choose either. I'm just going to leave it as after. And then the entry date. So that's going to be that important date. Now, if the lead was added at 11:07, and you needed that message to specifically always be delivered at 11:07, you could select the start date, or if you wanted to select a specific date. Now that comes into play with like holidays, right? Maybe it's specifically on July 4th, right? But for this one, we're only going to select entry date. Now, after that, we can select daily processing. That's going to be when this message gets sent out. The activity time is when that actual time was created, when it was actually started, right?
You may have like an appointment at 2 o'clock and you want it to happen at the activity time. There may be things that you want to do that maybe you just want to have it processed like in the morning, some kind of morning calls, or afternoon messages or whatever. So you can specify time blocks in where you want certain things to go. So this just gives you a good way of doing it. Previously in other software that I was associated with, you only had one thing a day. You can only send it out at a specified time. I've given you the ability here to set up as many different times as you want, give them a name, and then put them in. So you can set up different types of time blocking elements.
Excellent. Now, the duration is going to be what appears on the actual calendar. Like I said, 60 minutes is your default. It's a little chunky, so I've just dropped this one down to 15. You can assign it a specific color. I felt like green was a good color for this. And then you can add a team member. Now, it's going to default to you, but if you click into this, you can see that I have multiple team members. So maybe I need my marketing assistant to be the one who is running this specific activity. Maybe I actually decide that I want to be running this specific activity, and I can remove my marketing assistant. So once we have all of this built out, we have our activity ready to go, and we can start building that action. So if you guys will click that add action button, you're going to get a edit action, and I named it this new lead welcome message. Under that is that selected for automatic processing. Again, this, when selected, allows Sam to send it on your behalf, which is awesome. Now, under that, it's going to be a message that we're sending. And after that, we'll just click into this little template section, and that message that we just built, whatever you titled it, you can click that little search function and you can find it and add it. So this is going to allow us to take that message that we just built and we can add it in. And now Sam's going to send it on our behalf. And so anytime we add a new lead that has the entry date triggered, the message will get sent by Sam on our behalf automatically. Now, after that, there's a big block under it. We're going to address that in just a second, but then I want to go down to this message type. Now, tomorrow we're going to be diving into the contact, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what Sam is able to do to help you out with this. But this is a really cool concept. So the idea of a preferred method of communication. Yesterday we talked about, I'm a millennial, don't call me, right? And so my preferred method is probably email or text message. And if you knew that as a real estate agent, you could denote that on a person's contact card. And then Sam can look at that preference and it can adjust how those messages are being sent to them based on that preference. So in this case, it would be preference, or it'll default to email if you don't have that filled out.
So if they chose SMS as their preferred method of communication, that template that we created an email version and an SMS version. And in that case, if it was being sent to a person that preferred email, it would go email. If they preferred SMS, it would go SMS.
That's right. And you can set it to default as just email, just text message as well. But then after that, Mark, this is one of your best features, maybe not best features. It's a great feature, but the message recipient. So if you'll dive into that.
So one of the challenges that agents have is, I've got a message that I need to send, but who do I send it to? And is it the routine the contact that you're starting the routine on? We call it the routine contact. But it could be that you want to send it to other people in addition to that. Maybe you want to send just to a specific email or a specific text message. Maybe you want to send it to one of your team members that's on your team, and as a copy or whatever, who's the record owner of that, or the connection type. Now, We'll get into connection type tomorrow whenever we do the contact stuff, but a connection type is somebody that's connected to this record. It could be a spouse, it could be an employee, it could be there's any number of kind of connections. So you may want to send the message to an individual, or you may want to send it to multiple people, and based off of who you're really wanting to send it to, you can include it, as a CC, a BCC, or whatever. So there's just multiple ways that you can send messages, and who receives them based off of the message that you're sending. It's really important.
Yeah. So we're not going to add a specific additional message recipient to this one. So we'll go ahead and just save this action. And now we've got the activity ready to go. So we can also save that. And that specific activity is ready to go. Now there is one other activity that I want to create. So if you guys will go back up to the top right, hit that little plus, and then we're going to title this the post call follow-up. So if you remember in that template, I have that call to action for them to call me, right? And so the assumption would be that they reach out to you immediately and they're so excited to work with you. And you guys schedule a call in the next like 4 seconds and you're on the phone.
That really happens. Right?
It happens every time, right? Speed to lead, I believe, is the turn of phrase. And so we have a post call follow-up. Well, I'm going to build this one to be an hour after the entry date. So it's going to come after our date is triggered. And even if they don't reach out to us in that time, it's still going to make sure that that activity falls onto our calendar. Again, the duration doesn't need to be that long, maybe about 15 minutes. And I wanted to make sure that we had a different color. So I changed this one to blue. Now, I'm going to keep this activity for myself this time. Don't need to have the marketing assistant or anyone on it. So the activity setup is ready to go in that regard. You got to go down right there.
Yeah. Got a bunch of comments that are showing up. No more on Mac. Do these activities show up on your on our calendar?
Yes.
So the activities, whenever they do get created, they'll show up in the SAM calendar right now. I have already started the process of making them synchronize to Google. That's coming. It's not there yet, but once it does that, then it'll show up in your Google Calendar. I'm not going to promise it any kind of time frame, but the same thing would be the goal is to get it onto Outlook and Exchange calendars as well. So that should be going in there. The other question is entry date the contact when the contact is entered into the system? Yes. Entry date is when was it entered into the system. So and it can come from anytime a contact is added anywhere. There's a entry date, there's a modified date that are system type events. So you could even create something if something gets modified, do something. So there's lots of different date possibilities.
And we'll dive into the contact, all these important dates tomorrow too. So after we've got the activity, we need to build that second action, right? So click that add action button. And this time we're going to do something a little bit different. So go ahead and Mark, click into that. And I'm going to name this action post call follow-up message. I want this one to be automatic as well. And it's going to send a message, but this time we're not using a template. We're actually going to have Sam help us write this message. So just like Sam helped us write the message we used for our template, just like Sam helped us generate our lead magnet yesterday, we can also have him write these messages inside of the routine. So let's dive through what this is. So I need a new message to address details from the priorities list in the contact. We'll dive into that tomorrow, but essentially this is a list of things that as you're talking to a lead that they're looking for in a house, 3-bed, 5-bath, 100,000 foot of acreage, whatever it is, right? Or 3 typical priorities for the first-time home buyer. Again, that's my niche. And I have that caveat so that if I forgot to ask them what they're looking for, that's okay too. Sam's going to help me out a little bit there. And I want to acknowledge each of their needs or concerns and then share how my team specifically is going to work to address those. So this is kind of allowing me to state that I'm going to be the person for the job, right?
Now, understand this. An objective is really, if I have an objective, maybe I'm the team lead and I've got an assistant, and you're going to tell that assistant that you need something. What is it that I need? And you be very specific. Whenever you do that within Sam becomes your assistant. Sam becomes that go-to person that can do the tasks for you. And in this case, you're giving it very specific instructions on what you want and need, just as if you were going to tell an actual live person assistant.
Yeah. We have another question. I'll just take a little preface real quick. What happens if the contact is a vendor and we don't want to use the entry date to trigger them?
Okay. We do have some condition options that will make that available. So you can say, we've got a date, but based off of a certain condition. And I'm not sure I've got that turned on yet, but it is something that is there so that you can check the values of certain fields before it actually keys and triggers.
Perfect. So with this objective, if we want to click this little automation, I call them shimmers, not quite sure what their official name is, but Sam is going to show us an example of what this message would look like. Now, I will note it's not going to be the exact same message because Sam's writing them every single time, right? But this is going to allow us to kind of understand what that message will look like as it's being sent. Now, before these get actually sent to the person, you do have to approve them. And that's mostly because, just like you were saying, those objectives are instructions you would give to an assistant. I personally don't think you should ever just let your assistant have free range of your email, right? You should probably read what they're about to send out before. And so that's exactly what we've done with Sam.
And yes, this is considered a generation. It's generated by AI, so it's a generation.
Yeah. So I don't need an additional message recipient, and this guy is ready to go.
One caveat to this, and it's really cool. You can choose a template, and maybe you have a template that has certain information that you want to be sure is shown from the contact record or whatever. So you could create a template message, but then in addition to the template, use the objective, and it will modify your template based off of the objective that you want to obtain. So based off of the original stuff, it may contain some of the fields that you really wanted as part of maybe information to the contact, but it then personalizes it to them based off of the objective. And that's where AI just shines, because it's really good at finding patterns and replacing information based off of what you're wanting.
Absolutely. So from here, we can just save this, and then we'll save the activity as well. And this routine is ready to go. Now, maybe as we are getting deeper into it, as we're working with these clients, we realize, oh, I want to add a couple more things to this. That's totally fine. But otherwise, all we need to do is hit this active button, and this routine, now anytime that entry date gets filled out, will be started, right?
Yeah. I love the way that automation can do things for you. There are things that should not be automated. So you can run these if you want. You can run them manually as well. But whenever you go through and turn it to automate or active, then it will go ahead and do it for you. So you've got best of both worlds. You don't have to go through the process of making everything active. But for those things that should be active, absolutely make them active, and it's just automatic.
Absolutely. So that's kind of the big hitters of how we build a routine. And I don't know about you, other than a couple of technical issues, it's pretty simple, right?
Yeah. I can make it simpler.
Yes. Yeah. Before we recap, talk to me. Like,
Okay. So, you know, what we just showed you is kind of the typical way of creating software workflows and things that are in other applications, where you're kind of going through it one by one. Now, again, this is not turned on yet. I'm finalizing this piece, but just like we gave the objective to create the template, let's take it one step further. And when we choose the new routine, we can go through there, pop up a little objective. What kind of objective do I want to achieve with this routine? Maybe I say, I want a new lead. I want to send out an email on the first day, the second day, up to 10 days, each of them talking about some aspect of first-time home buyers. Okay. I hit send on that. And this process is in process and working. I just don't have it turned on. But what it then does is it says, okay, here's 10 different activities, 10 different emails. It creates the content for all of them, and it puts them in based off of what you wanted. Then you just go in and you tweak it. Okay.
So what you're saying is Sam will build these routines for you.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
We have to do things in baby steps, and the baby step in this piece, and while I really wanted to get it done for the webinar, it just wasn't quite there yet. Getting AI to do things perfectly is not hard, but whenever you need things in certain structures and getting it set up, it can be a challenge. But now I've taken what would be maybe an hour or two, to create a routine. It doesn't take an hour or two, but if you think through the process and you create all the little sticky notes and put them on your back wall, and you think about where you want everything, if you can just type up what you want, paste that into the objective, and it can go through and it can create each of the routines, the actions, the templates for you automatically.
That's awesome. And then all you have to do is spend a couple minutes infusing yourself into it. What an AI system looks like. Now, I call these routines. We've talked about the power of automating these processes for our leads, our customers, our past clients. We showed you guys how you can build this routine that allows you to do these repeatable actions by implementing these important dates that are going to be triggered. And then hopefully you guys have been following along and are building your first AI-powered routine with us. Now, if you haven't, that's going to be your homework. That's the final action for today is go ahead and follow the steps from this session and build out that very first routine. Now, from here, what we're going to be doing tomorrow is we're actually going to start connecting the dots, and we're going to put this all together so you can see the overall process. We're going to do that by diving into the contact. We're going to get a contact into your system. We're going to show you how the process works to nurture leads, communicate with customers, or just offer aid to past clients to keep your business running on autopilot with Sam. So that's kind of the big hitters for today. Other than that, immediately following, for all our VIP members, we will be hopping over to that VIP room. We can continue to answer questions. Yesterday, we kind of started teaching some more anecdotally about experiences and concepts, but we got a lot packed. And if you're not a VIP, you absolutely still have time to do that. You can do that on that second step of the event dashboard.
Just think about what we've described here and what we've said we're doing. It's really exciting about what we can do now, and the technology that we have at our fingertips to be able to do stuff. This is kind of a transition period. What I really envision happening in the very near future is that people, agents using systems like this will actually stop using systems like this, and it'll be like Alexa or Hey Google. You're going to be talking to it more often, and I'm implementing those types of changes into what you have started so that whenever we go through this process, you could be driving in your car and talking to it. I mean, that's the vision of what we've got. And, you know, there's a lot of people out there saying, well, you can do all this with ChatGPT, and you can, but you have to go through a huge process of trying to cut, copy, paste, create, and do things through the ChatGPTs, through the Geminis, through the different softwares that are out there that are generic LLMs, large language models. And what you started and what we're continuing to do now with Sam is take us to that next level, and just think about what you can actually be doing whenever that technology.
Yeah, and I think that is truly what excites me, because, you know, ultimately, like I said, my goal is to allow you guys to be excellent at real estate and to build great relationships with people, and your technology just serves you. It doesn't actually take up so much of your time. And you know, I think that when I was really starting into 2.0, I saw this direction that we were going, but I realized these tools, even if they are adding AI, I like to say they're duct taping it, and they have these old clunky interfaces, and they just like strap a text editor onto it that integrates with ChatGPT. Well, there's so much more. And when you allow these tools to really influence how the software is working as a whole, you've got some really cool stuff going. But yeah, the future is really exciting to me.
All right, guys, that's it for today's main session. If you're in the VIP, we'll catch you over there, and we can do additional stuff over there, and we'll open up the mics and stuff for that.
Cool. Well, we'll see you guys there.